I love this one so much. So Degen, the Scenecoin of Farcaster. I'm just going to start using it.
Hell yeah. People are using it, Josh. People are using it. So. They're taking it as their own already, which is a great sign.
That's great.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good super morning for our friends over in Tokyo. Back with episode 22. I always have to check because these numbers keep getting bigger, and I'm like, how have we done this for such short a time and such long a time? Maybe English.
Yeah, 22 mostly. Yeah, it seems low, but long.
Consistent, yeah.
Yeah.
Internet Explorers, every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern, we bring you the weekly rundown of everything that's happened in the consumer crypto space and pull some awesome founders, people building at the edges. Of course, it's myself, Jess. We got Josh over here who's hanging out in the jungle. And then peace note on the buttons, on the clickers, clicking buttons, downloading links. Ladies and gentlemen.
We're good. It was a big week. It was sick that finally got to announce SC07, which we'll get into. Had a scrambly morning of trying to get an announcement post out. Got done. It's a good week. Glad to be here.
Happy to be here on Friday. It's Good Friday too, so thank you for those hanging out with us on your holiday. It's a new thing, this idea of a holiday. Anyways, we have a big show today, and so I think we should just jump into it. If we could bring Vibhu up here on the stage. What up, Vibhu? How you doing, my man?
Hello.
Awesome.
I'm good.
Yeah. He's fighting a bit of a cold, so I appreciate you showing up here today. I had the opportunity to hang out with Vibhu in Austin a couple of weeks ago at the brand new summit. He was on the panel there and had a great conversation afterwards. And my whole takeaway here was that there is, I think that this entire industry is just so much bigger than any one individual, even small groups of individuals can kind of keep up on. And so I just am consistently blown away by the scale and intensity of fandom and the impact that platforms like Drip, who, if you're maybe not in the Solana world, you maybe aren't fully aware of, but the impact they can kind of have on creators and these sort of big businesses that are being built here. So I just kind of jumped at the chance to invite Vibhu to come join us for an Internet Explorer show. And I think maybe just to kick it off, how are you describing what Drip is and maybe the intention behind the product?
Sure, yeah. So Drip is a collectibles platform, and we help creators make a living like many other creator economy focused blockchain companies. We work with many artists, musicians, influencers, projects, brands, etc. And they airdrop collectibles to their fans at a pretty big scale on Solana. What makes Drip stand out amongst the crowd is the accessibility of the product. It starts at free, and there's no tokens. And so it kind of sits somewhere between a Web 2 product and a Web 3 product from a user experience perspective. So you subscribe to creators that make things that you enjoy, and they share their work with you. And by default, you get, it can be very similar to Instagram where they're posting something and you're kind of consuming it. But there's also NFT mechanics built in. There's rarity and more scarce pieces and special editions and all the kind of fun things that you get on chain. And our creators are building huge audiences here between 30K and 200,000 subscribers. And every single piece of content that they publish to the platform is an NFT, so it's tradable. These very kind of atomic, tiny bits of attention that are being tokenized inside of this content. And it's been go ahead.
Well, just give us a sense of scale, because I think that's the thing that blows a lot of people away. Because Drip it feels like it is such an accessible and simple product on the face, and then I think when you start to see what's actually going on behind the scenes, it kind of starts to blow people's minds.
Sure, yeah. So we've been growing fast, so our numbers are scaling every week. This week, we've been averaging around 155 to 160,000 daily active users, around 300,000 weekly. and around 400 to 450,000 monthly. How we calculate a user?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah, continue. No, I was going to ask you that exact thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I actually, if you at some point you can find a 30-minute video I did on how we what we consider to be an active user. It's not a simple thing to describe, but it's a wallet, sign in. That's been this past our civil protection systems. We have a huge emphasis on anti-fraud. We've banned over 2 million accounts from the service. If you try to farm us, you will get punished by our fraud system. We also measure DAUs in 2 different vectors. We measure kind of raw DAUs, which are folks that are valid users of the experience who are using it, and that's, like I said, around 155, 160K in the last week, up 50% month over month. We also have a machine learning model that parses out productive versus unproductive users. These are things that nobody else is doing in the industry, in my opinion. It's also the backing of our fraud system. On that metric, we're closer to 120,000 productive users daily, and maybe around 35 to 40,000 unproductive users daily.
Yeah, I love how fast people are to, and it's fair, right? Like obviously there's so much farming that happens with crypto products, but like anytime somebody says a big number, like the immediate thought is that it's all bots. And I know I've seen your video and I've seen just the lengths you go to sort of, I guess, frame the sort of intensity with which you try to find real human beings here. So I think like it's
very hard to bot Drip long term because of how our economy works. You don't get that much value out of it if you're doing that. So, but yeah, we've definitely dealt with everything that every other product in crypto that has any value has dealt with. I just think that we do it particularly well.
So Drip came onto my radar from Chris Berneski, who I think a mutual investor in our products, and his whole thing was looking at what are sort of the unique things that Solana as a network can enable, and Drip was the prime example of this. So this simple function of like I get to subscribe and then you are pushing NFTs out to people is something that really wasn't possible a few years ago, became possible with Solana. And I think it's maybe something we could assume it will become more possible maybe as other chains start to scale. But it feels like it's a very one of a number of very simple mechanisms that are slightly different than what sort of the meta was in crypto when you launched, that have proven to be maybe a little bit ahead of the curve. So I'd say one of those is like shifting this scarcity-based mechanic around NFTs into one where you're sort of subscribing to it. And the other one I would say is just this very simple click to claim your drops mechanic. And I'm curious how you would sort of describe the game, because I think there's a very simple game that people get very quickly that makes this very compelling.
Yeah, sure. So users collect something we call Droplets. It's a virtual currency, and they can collect every 6 hours. Our economic model for that is derived basically from some of the best mobile games. We looked at how they manage their economies off chain, and we mirrored that structure here, assuming that they know what they're doing, and we didn't. So you can claim 5 to 10 droplets, and each droplet is redeemable for a single collectible on the platform. So that kind of serves as the base, kind of the UBI of Drip, if you will. From there, as you grow your appreciation for creators, so I don't know if while you're scrolling here, if you want to click into Dark Infinite below, and then go to designs, click on his channel here. Nice, and scroll down. So each creator maintains a leaderboard. If you click on the leaderboard there, you'll see that people are who appreciate your work. They kind of starts at this like simple free redemption. I get their base collectible each week when they send it to me. But users will quickly grow their appreciation and want to participate more and try to get rarer things from those creators. So the game of Drip is really built around leaderboards. There is scarcity. It isn't like a non-scarce product. It's scarcity in a much different context than what you typically would think about it. And so, for example, like if you go back to the drops page here for designs, then you scroll down, you see this red frame here is actually a one of one. It has a supply of one, but it's within this a set of tens of thousands of collectibles that have been distributed. And so the scarcity model works more like Pokemon in a way where people who like get into Pokemon, they don't go first buy the like PSA 10 first edition Charizard. Like that's not their first entry. They buy a pack or they get a box and they get that delight of like seeing what they have, going to check the value. And then over time, if they love that experience, they'll start to spend more. They'll buy more premium boxes. They'll buy legacy collectibles for Pokemon. Drip basically duplicated that model for NFTs. And it's really a game changer because I actually think that NFTs are going to change the world. I really think that there's a lot here. I find myself in everyday life like craving for like non-NFT things to be NFTs. Like this morning, I was trying to transfer ownership of a Google Doc to somebody. I'm like, why can't I just like send them the Google Doc so I don't have to like go through some weird tool, right? But the question to me is that the Gen 1 model we had was basically built for whales. You had to come in with a big budget and start spending to access it. Here, it starts the way everything on the internet that we know started, which is free.
Can you talk a bit about how Drip fits into your creators stack? Like, is this their kind of top of funnel kind of broad distribution place, and then I'm assuming you're still listening, and then they go somewhere else.
I'm listening, yeah.
To kind of I don't know, nurture a more close knit community, or do they do one of one drop somewhere else, or are they just entirely playing like Drip is their audience kind of community management platform?
Sorry, I wanted to show off these are all physicals that you're looking at here. These are painted with kitchen knives and utensils. So this is a design that's by chance physical, and it's painted with forks and knives, and it's just it doesn't look so good on camera, but it's a beautiful, beautiful piece in person. And yeah, if you win his ultimates here, those one of ones, he'll send you the physicals for these. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I was listening, but I forgot the question.
Yeah, no worries. No, I was just curious how Drip fits into the creators like audience kind of community management stack. Like, is it their one-stop destination to grow and manage kind of the close-knit community, or are they using this as a place they go play games with their audience, but they also are using kind of a series of other things?
It depends on the creator. What happens most often is that a creator will start with thinking that it's a companion to other things that they're doing. And then like 2 or 3 weeks in, they switch to becoming a full-on Drip maxi. The feeling of creating on Drip for a creator coming from NFTs or from Web2 is like unlike anything else. They're no longer like worried about who's going to claim it or like how they should price their work, all those kind of things. The only problem with Drip right now is that the social layer is pretty much entirely missing. So if you want to like engage with your fans, so you can see here in this donation form that you can send a message to the creator or like put your Twitter or refuse to change it to say X. But they'll come in like and like often thank you for your donation or follow you or put you into a collector group. We are building social features. It just hasn't been the top priority. We really want people to love the core product before we do all that.
I mean, to me, that's part of the thing that I find myself commenting on most when I talk to other other builders is just how you've resisted the urge to fuck with this in a lot of ways. Like the claiming is such a simple thing, that the core concept is such a simple thing. I could imagine wanting to extend that a lot faster and do different games. It's a very simple game here for sort of trying to get a legendary, which I've always lost. Like this is my experience, frankly. So yeah, I'm curious how, like, do you feel that same urge? There's just like this desire to tinker with it and you're able to fight that, or are you just like ridiculously disciplined?
No, I don't. I mean, we definitely fucked with it. I don't necessarily agree with your assessment.
Okay.
But honestly, we have literally an infinite roadmap for the product. There's a lot of things. Most of our life these days is trying to figure out like if we don't build this, what things that if we don't build them now are going to kill the company, and then we go build those things only. And like some of the like social features are like nice to haves. Like we know, like we would love a fee. We even designed it already. We love a friends and followers system. We want comments. Comments are coming soon. Like we do want that kind of stuff, but like growing from 10K DAUs in October to 150K plus today, doing it on chain has required a ton of just an unbelievable amount of engineering effort and just like simplifying the product in different ways. I think we find like the urge that you were talking about is the urge to make it complicated and to like keep adding features. And we do have that urge, I promise you. It's just, we just don't have time for it. I would say it's more that
necessity, the mother of focus. So let's talk about that scaling for a second. I mean, I love this tweet. This is actually, shortly. I read this shortly after we had our conversation. I know you're sort of in this moment where meme coin season was hitting Solana, and you had a whole bunch of NFTs that were yet to be delivered. Like the pipes were not big enough to actually pipe through all the volume that you needed to do. And I'm curious. I mean, what was the intention behind? For those that are listening, it's a suggestion that Solana is going to have and needs to have L2s and or rollups. So just like I mean, that is a
one just launched today.
Okay.
One just launched today. Yeah. For games, for sovereign game economies. I don't know. I think personally, we were really at a loss with Solana for a couple of weeks. Obviously, I think Solana has done an amazing job on the technology side. Can't really complain about it, but no one anticipated a company like us existing, trying to push 10 million NFTs on chain every single week. And, it used to be okay. It's just when there was a whole bunch of other activity on the chain, it doesn't scale infinitely. There is like block space limits. There are like TPS limits. And usually those are theoretical for like most chains, but we were actually reaching those real hard limits. And I talked with a number of the best teams in Solana, trying to get a picture of how is everyone thinking about scaling right now. And for us, the most important thing about the experience is starting it free and keeping it accessible. We have no interest in changing that. And so, most of the traditional blockchain approach to this, including Solana's, is basically fees, right? Like, okay, you want access to the space, to the block space, and there's other people contesting it, then you need to pay your priority fees. And I can't really disagree with that model. I mean, it makes total sense. But for us, it puts us in a unique spot where we're kind of competing against the fees and against Solana in a way that I never really thought about. Like we're not aligned the same way as crypto maybe is from $0 to $200 SOL, and beyond. Like when you're very early, you're totally happy with the token price appreciating. But for us, it's an infrastructure cost. And like just in the last 7 days, I tweeted a couple nights ago, we spent $18,000 in fees on Solana. That's a lot for us. I mean, it's not nothing, right? On a run rate basis, that's basically $1 million a year just in pure gas fees on chain. As I've clarified, Drip is doing amazingly well as a business, so it's not like we're making way more than 18K, so it's totally fine. At the same time, like the same exact thing that we used to get on the infrastructure level was 1/10 the price a year ago, but the Solana was $20. So we basically, a bunch of teams, we all agreed Solana is probably going to need to have scaling solutions. And no one wanted to talk about it in public, and I volunteered. I don't really care what anyone says. So I wanted to put it into the zeitgeist and then see what comes back. Sometimes just purely mentioning something in public, it gets a life of its own. And then some entrepreneur is or engineer is it unblocks them a little bit and maybe I should do this thing. Right. So we're not building an L2. I'm not the right person. My team's not the right people. We're not the right people to do it. We're product people. But after that call, after this tweet, I got a number of messages and DMs and whole bunch of people who were, in private, not in public necessarily, who were like, yeah, like we are thinking about this. Here's like an architecture we're proposing. So this was about putting something into the zeitgeist for Solana. I knew it was going to do well as a tweet. It has 250,000 views. That's insane. And then now it's just like wait and see if something comes to market that we could use. We might be willing to do it. Right now, we are making little internet plans. We are building a whole amazing kind of off-chain system that, it's not ideal. We prefer to put things on chain. But we haven't really been left with too many other choices at the moment.
Awesome. I love it. Well, I continue to go and claim my droplets and subscribe to things. I think it's just a beautiful, simple, compelling. I think it just gets some of the real simple things right in a strange. I find myself kind of strangely compelled by it, even though I'm not a power user by any means, but I continue to keep going back. And so, as a builder and somebody's exploring, I keep that in my mind as like. You gave me a lot of faith. I know on our panel I said I called droplets points, and you corrected me on that. But I think it is in a similar vein, right? This idea that there is, attention is valuable, and coming back and feeling a sense of progress and number go up, even if it's not tied to financial, upside directly, is compelling. And so it's definitely informed a lot of my thinking. I think we should let you go, man. I appreciate you showing up here and sharing the vision of Drip with us, even though you're fighting a cold. I think you did you brought the energy regardless, my friend, especially when we start talking about scaling. So I feel like you're going to be involved in many more of those conversations over the next little while. Where can people find you, and where would you send them to get an experience of Drip?
Right here at Vibhu. If you do not have an invite code, my DMs are open personally, and I can get you in for free. Otherwise, you need to hit up a friend that's on, or you need $20 in your Solana wallet.
I mean, that was $1 in a Solana wallet a few months ago. So
literally, it was designed to be $1. And so,
all right, and hit up Peace or hit up Vibhu if you want access to Drip. Appreciate your time, my man, and I wish you well.
No problem. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Peace Node. Thank you, Josh. Get it?
Yeah, but.
Oh yeah, products with users. I think Josh, as you know, I was reading the edit for the topic we're going to get into next. I think this sort of like theme of, it's almost like these sort of two worlds that we live in. One is the world where we're with builders who are clearly building things that are ready, if not very, very close to ready for mainstream audiences to come and use crypto. And then you have like this other world of investors and maybe, other crypto users who are still sitting here saying, "Ah, man, we're not quite ready yet. We need more infrastructure." And it was sort of like that. I don't know. It felt weird that we had to sort of say that again but I think that is still where so many people's brains are. And maybe we're just, a couple steps into the future. And I think, you did a wonderful job in sort of highlighting this next batch that we have, which I think we can chat about. Every couple times a year, we get a chance to like go into the future with, hundreds of teams that are sending their ideas, applying through C Club, and sharing the visions they've casted forward into the future. And you kind of get to form a big thesis that kind of comes out of that. That's sort of, I guess, added to our current thesis. And I'm beyond stoked for this batch that we have. So
yeah, it's gonna be a good one. Yeah, I think really the exciting thing on the infrastructure side is like how far you can now run before it actually becomes a problem. And that distance is just getting further and further, right? Like they have hundreds of thousands of users and are trying to distribute 10 million NFTs a week. Like they have fit, they have a great business, and now they're bumping up on the limits and figuring out ways to, temporarily kind of sidestep those restrictions while stuff gets built. But I think for the early stages that we're playing at, like there's so much room to run before that becomes a problem now, which is a big thing.
Yeah, well, and there's products you can go and like you can literally send to a friend who doesn't know crypto and can actually start to use it right now. And I think what's fun is that it feels like, I think my big concern around a lot of the abstraction stuff that we've sort of seen in the past, it felt like we were really trying to remove the crypto from the crypto projects. And right now it just feels like we've gotten out of the way in a big way of people actually experiencing what crypto can actually be used for. So anyway, so I'll throw to you. SC07, we announced our batch yesterday.
We announced it yesterday. Been a long time coming. I think every time we do run one of these, selection processes, I'm reminded at how long it often takes to wrap it up. So exciting that we can finally announce it. It actually kicks off Monday, so we'll have lots of field notes and reportings from in cohort coming soon. But yeah, we ended up selecting 8 teams that are building category defining consumer crypto projects to join our program. So I think what's exciting, I think, is how well we've kind of covered the gamut of all the exciting emerging areas of opportunity in consumer crypto. Like we have people building headless marketplaces and headed marketplaces, and building on top of meme coins, and building consumer AI agents, and building on top of decentralized social, and exploring the next evolution of DAOs, and all these things all these areas of kind of bubbling excitement. We have teams experimenting on top, building on top. So I think that's one thing that's really exciting. So definitely worth reading the post. I think highlighted some of our.
Do you mind if I play us in here?
Play us in, please. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Just slow down. Makes us look so good. Yes, Jess, maybe I think so in the post, it breaks down all the teams we've accepted. And I think over the next, we're going to try to bring at least a founder on Internet Explorers each week. So we'll get lots of opportunity to go deep with each team. I think maybe the thing to talk about here is really our emphasis and focus on category defining. And maybe I'll throw it to you to kind of talk about why that was our focus during selection, and even in the framing of this accelerator, we really kind of zeroed in on that of being a very important kind of filter for us to choose teams through.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's sort of two thoughts there. One, I think there's still this disbelief in this category as a whole, and I think the way that we kind of prove this as a reality is by teams building products that can start to show a sense of scale and intensity and momentum. And so I think, we see these emerging categories in consumer, just such a broad category to start with. And so, there's sort of this getting excited about the world that these people are building towards, and seeing big products being able to be built there were, I think, important from an adoption perspective. And of course, it's sort of from an investment perspective as well, right? I think that the main complaint I hear from venture capitalists that are looking at consumers, they just don't know if there's, consumers are hard to build generally, but have there been big scale up, big winners? You're not pointing to sort of other L2s that are at multi-billion-dollar market caps just yet. So we're still, I think, early in that, and that there's sort of the opportunity we have here is to work with teams that are going to build those defining products that will have massive value in the market, that will make it clear to people who are looking to deploy capital or to back teams that consumer as a category is inevitable, and that there's opportunity here generally. And so, as we were speaking to teams, we always put such a huge focus on the individuals, right? The Seed Club is about getting great builders together to build together. And so we have a very high bar in our minds, at least, around the curation of who these people are. So I think first and foremost, all of these founders are just exceptional individuals. They've come from various different backgrounds. Many have worked in some of the world's biggest companies, worked on previous startups, have been building products that you know and love already, and have sort of caught a glimmer of what a potential future might be, and have decided to sort of dedicate their heartbeats towards running at that. So I think that's first and foremost. And then second, can we see a path to a big emergent category that they can go be the leaders of? And we've had this opportunity over the last 3 years to explore among over 150 other products and founders as well. And I think what's interesting here is we're seeing a lot of consistency through them, and then also a lot of reimagining of what could be. So there's DAO narratives in here, though they aren't really being positioned as DAOs. There's collectible narratives in here, though they're not really being positioned as NFT collectibles. And so we're seeing sort of like an evolution, I think, on narratives that have sort of been proven to some degree in the past, but are now being repackaged in a way that's more accessible, maybe more of a directly running at the opportunity that exists today and has emerged from those previous narratives.
Yeah, I think there's this concept of there being kind of like a golden period of startup building too. I think is very real. Like when you look back to the big winners of Web 2 and the big category defining consumer products of Web 2, they all kind of came out of this 5-year period where suddenly the tech was good enough, the consumers were there, they wanted more, and those people were the ones to serve it. Once they get big and they're well capitalized and the network effects kick in, it's very hard to unseat them. And I think, I don't know, we just really feel like that's kind of the next few years in crypto.
100%. There's no doubt in my mind. And I had a wonderful conversation end of last year with Fred Wilson from USV talking about consumer as a category. Actually, it was the beginning of last year when we were sort of making this sort of evolution in Seed Club, and he shared with me just like the similarities, at least to the founding of USV. It had come through this period of rapid speculation on infrastructure at the end of the 90s and into the early 2000s, and his very smooth brain in a wonderful way take was, oh, there's all this infrastructure, so obviously people are going to build stuff on top of it. I think we're either in that right now or about to be in that right now with crypto. And when you see very talented builders who are like, listen, I got the tools, we're going to be able to go build something here, just let me run. Pretty hard to ignore.
100%. Yeah, so recommend following all these people and their projects. They're we looked at 300 plus, interviewed 50 plus, chose these ones as the most exciting ones that we could find and work with. So definitely recommend following along. They're pushing at the edges of what's possible in consumer crypto right now.
Yeah, I'm stoked for y'all to get to meet these people over the next couple of weeks. And then, of course, I know we haven't even begun talking about it, but we are rather quickly, only 3 months away from approaching our demo day, the event, whatever the hell we end up calling it this time.
We're going to throw a party.
I mean, we've leveled up every single time, and it honestly gives me anxiety to think about what we're going to go do next time. But yeah, I'm excited. Yeah,
we're aiming at filling a stadium one day. So we'll see. We'll see what step we take here.
The other thing I was thinking about today was just how weird it is that we do this type of announcement post. Like nobody else does that, right? You don't go like YC doesn't go and like announce and hype up and get excited about the companies that come into it, right? It's all about that demo day. And I think it sort of speaks to the kind of the different world that we're building here. If you're building something people want to be a part of, these people are an absolute essential part of that. They need to be able to galvanize interest and support, rally the community. So I think it just sort of, as I was sitting in the ferry lineup last night being like, yeah, this is different. And yes, it feels very natural. It's like the most obvious things. And the same with demo day, right? It's not just investors that get to come to demo day. This is a party and an opportunity to introduce thousands of people to these awesome products that people are building. So
that's it.
Game on.
Let's go. All right, nice. Let's jump to, token is the product. What?
I just realized, I'm sorry, I got to go mint. I got to mint.
What are we minting?
We're minting little darlings. I've got.
Do you think it's gonna mint out pretty quick?
Well, I've got. Excuse me. I have some
you have
ugly bitches, so I'm allow listed. These artists from the team that brought you Ugly Bitches, Ann Hirsch, Maya Man, Go Libra, and Real Men Online. Really amazing. But yeah, I have to collect this.
And this is perfect.
No, it's great. That's what we want on the show. They look a lot or remind me a lot of your like Test Flight Club characters, or these characters that you've been
totally with. It's so fun. I mean, I feel like we're going to see a lot more of that with AI, right? Like we're bumping up against some of the same aesthetic things. It's so funny just to see what comes out. Okay, so let's grab a pair of these little darlings because
I can't wait to see what you pull. I'm gonna start introducing this section. But
Please do.
let me know when you have something sick.
Share us in the chat being like, this is not an ad. We have no exposure to this. This is
We just show
not
things we
paid
like.
placement.
That's true.
Okay.
I just think these people are cool.
Okay, cool. So yeah, really liked this post by Mark Beylin, who I think he's at BoostVC, I don't know, doing something interesting before, where he describes why, the token is the product in crypto. So he thinks that for anyone trying to build a valuable company in crypto, your first and primary goal should be to attract permanent attention and liquidity to your token. So he kind of, goes on to talk about how the increased efficiency and fairness ultimately that blockchains offer by being open and interoperable also just makes building sustainable moats much harder, and the network effects that can be created around a valuable token when an attractive narrative can attract, or just a critical defense against this. And so what did you get?
This is that sir,
What did we get?
sir, yes, sir type shit.
Is that yours?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Oh, it's mine. That's right.
That's nice. But yeah, I think so. So he, I guess, very much agree with the token is the product. Like we've talked about that and felt that for a long time. He also said on a not long enough. Okay, please, I got to keep looking back.
Sorry. Yo, I'm skinny boy. Looking forward to becoming big boy. Come through my profile if you're able to support. That's right.
I think I need that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. So sorry. We're back in.
No, I love it. I wish I wasn't talking about this and could just fully lean into your minting.
Goodness. Beautiful man. You mogged us, bro. So big.
Now I got mint some of these just close. We get mint one.
My dad. Front of the White House. Public opens soon. I've minted my max allocation. So
okay, fine.
Yeah,
I'll get one in public. So yeah, he talks about how he thinks on a long enough time horizon, any successful crypto product which doesn't actually launch a token will eventually have their margins competed away, or will get beaten, by competitors that do launch a token. Kind of give you actually an interesting example of airlines to show how this dynamic is already kind of playing out in the real world, where airlines are notoriously just hyper competitive, low margin markets, and airlines actually make the majority of their money on their loyalty programs. And the Delta points, for example, is that's the product as much as the Delta flights is the product, right? And the successful airlines all have wildly successful loyalty programs, and the ones that don't end up being low cost, kind of shitty carriers that are just running horrible businesses. So, anyways, kind of goes on to talk about this kind of the importance of the attention, token value, useful product feedback loop, and how just nurturing that ultimately is kind of the core focus in crypto projects.
I love the airline loyalty point example because I think it makes it tangible, but I also think it underrepresents the opportunity here significantly.
Oh, of course,
right?
Yeah.
Because I think the other example I found myself using is what is the goodwill on the balance sheet of Coca-Cola, and what happens if that good, it's billions of dollars, the brand value. And what if that is, public and tradable on a global network, right? And liquid. And so yeah, I think it's funny as we start to, maybe this is part of this over intellectualization of meme coins and tokens in general, but I think an important sort of thing to start to wrap our heads around as you can. Yeah, I mean, we're talking today as Degen is, I think it broached a $1 billion market cap yesterday, right? And there's I think far more than just memetic value at play there with some of the tech they're rolling out, et cetera. Obviously, we're going to talk about that in a second here. So, but yeah, the token as the product, I think makes a lot of people uneasy about it. I also think it's in large part because we have such an engineering and tech dominated culture in crypto. And, as big believers that crypto is as much a social phenomenon as it is a technological phenomenon, I think it's very natural for us to sort of see this, but it's still, I think, something a lot of people are starting to wrap their heads around, but they are beginning to do it. We had Anthony was from a venture team was in London at a big institutional conference, and 40% of the conversations he said he estimated were about meme coins. All the VC funds I'm talking to, their LPs are trying to get a sense of it. And so it's very clear that attention and belief and belonging is an asset now that can be, traded, and that comes with a lot of benefits, a lot of downsides, and a lot of figuring out to do. But I think, yeah, as builders, if you're sort of in this world where there's this sort of uncertainty and debate, and it can make you maybe doubt some of the intuitions you have. And I think Mark has done a good job of really clearly landing an idea here that I think we very much agree with.
Yeah, I think even just the like simplicity of realizing that you need to think about your token as a product. Like, it is a product that needs to have a product experience. Like, holding your token needs to feel good. Having good narratives around it makes it feel better to hold. Like, that is, you can kind of just, it's very smooth, but it's the truth.
I think most founders understand that. I think it's sort of like the context and the debate and like the discussion around the outside that actually can make what is a very simple concept or idea a little bit more complicated to execute on.
Yeah, totally. It also reminded me of the kind of meme utility spectrum post I wrote, which is over a year ago, which is insane that that's been a year, but also we've been talking about memes for that long.
That's why I hate loyalty points. I think it's just like it's just like, here's this kind of shitty utility. Frankly, like, loyalty points are not great. I mean, okay,
totally.
Get like a penny. I have a great loyalty points with my gas station. I get 7 cents back. I love that, but it's not like it's make me buy gas there than versus somewhere else. But
I think it frames it well that like you don't want to be an airline without a loyalty program.
Yeah,
it's so interesting. Like, I feel like the dissonance comes from maybe just earlier cycles where there was like when I hear Coinbase's lore, there's like a lot of tellings about like, don't focus on the charts. We're here to build an infrastructure. And that is such a sick ethos. But so I think when people hear meme tokens and they hear focus on the token, they think chart. But I really like this reframing because it's not about the chart. It is about focusing on it as a product and building out that experience. And you can't just only say that's about price. It is about more.
Yeah, well, I think there's certain dynamics that emerge from, let's just say, attention-based tokens or brand-based tokens. I think you'd expect there to be a lot more volatility. I think price is actually a core part of it, but it's definitely not the only part of it. I think that's maybe where today's meme coins are over-indexed. Like the way you launch them is trying to show number go up to the right. Some drops are good for people to acquire, et cetera. But if it is, we're going to talk maybe a little bit more about meme stocks, et cetera, and the dynamics that emerge there. But I think even just sort of zooming out and stepping back and just trying to get a sense of how these things are being valued, what building a great token product is. And I think that is more than just tech, and sort of getting a feel for the market dynamics around these things is probably just going to be a very valuable thing moving forward, because 98% of people are looking at this with some version of disdain or disbelief, and it's inevitable in my mind. And I think we'll see from the next couple of topics here, three topics. I think,
it's all connected. Yeah, let's jump to Degen Chain. I love this one so much. So Degen, the Scenecoin of Farcaster. I'm just going to start using it.
Hell yeah, people are using it, Josh. People are using it. So. They're taking it as their own already, which is a great sign.
That's great. Yes, they announced the details and I think launch of their L3 yesterday. So unsurprisingly, the market loved it. I think Degen was up like 80% on the day.
It crossed a billion FDV
after already a week of a lot of price growth. So anyways, interesting to see that L3s are getting a good market narrative. I guess maybe first for some details. So the L3s, and I don't have enough understanding to know if this is weird or not. It seems weird to me that the L3 it's built on Arbitrum Orbit, settles on Base, but then uses Arbitrum's AnyTrust for data availability. I'm really interested to kind of understand the thinking behind that. I think the most interesting piece about the details, obviously, is that the chain is using Degen as the native gas token. So I don't know. I think generally this is just very, very sick as Degen, continues to aggregate the attention of more and more of the Farcaster scene. We've just seen this growing interest in projects wanting to tap into it, right? We saw Dracula, Pearl, Bracket Game, and again, a number of other projects that, are planning on integrating it, both because it's just a very smart go-to-market, but it also is just giving them the benefits of having their own token without having to deal with all that complexity. So, as you see this Degen app ecosystem emerging, that comes with the opportunity to further own the stack that it exists on, right? And now projects wanting to tap into Degen, the Degen mindshare can launch their project on Degen Chain. Hey, go ahead.
Well, and this is what Ethereum was, right? If you zoom out of like the tech, obviously we're dealing at different levels of abstraction here. There's different security assumptions, all that sort, just decentralization assumptions, all that sort of stuff. But the reason people were building it was for a narrative that people were building on Ethereum, right? And they had a sense of sort of aligned incentives towards it. And it was about the tech, but it was really about this idea of a world computer, about a decentralized, it's going to exist for forever as long as there's somebody running a node or mining or now running a node. And so I think there's just a lot of similarities between that early narrative formation and use and growth, and now we're just seeing it at a different level of the stack. And I think this sort of like it's tapping into this similar belief. Let's build something people want to be a part of, and maybe doing it in an even more direct way, right? Where it isn't about the tech. I mean, they definitely show the stack they're using there, but the reason people are building on Degen is because there are people who want to go click buttons and mint stuff and speculate, and there's a scene there to tap into. And I think that's why that's such a great term to use.
Totally. Yeah. And I think ultimately the biggest outcome from this really is the improved narrative, right? Like I think the ecosystem emerging will be this longer term thing. Excited to see how that evolves. But in this mindset that the token is the product, now this token isn't only capturing the attention and culture value of the scene, but it's also a gas token on a chain that people want to build on. Like, yeah, that feels better.
Yeah, and I think that is. I mean, Reagan from Lattice has had a wonderful few tweets right now. He's been on a roll with his threads over the last little while, and talking kind of about the importance of leaning into narratives, and Charlie Munger talks about building on waves, and I think in crypto we just have like more many more waves that are kind of breaking with you. So you have the crypto wave, and then you have these you have the L2 narratives, and you have the liquid staking narratives, and now you have sort of this Scenecoin narrative or whatever it ends up being called, or L3s, and so there's sort of like probably a bigger vision to build towards, but being able to sort of stack and play and be relevant within the emerging narratives, I think are one of the core things you need to do if you're looking at your token as a product.
Yeah, it's just attention, token price, valuable product, flywheel, right? Token price goes up, they're holding a bunch of it, ecosystem grants, whatever you want to go do with that, which is going to get more attention, grow the ecosystem, get more people building on it, more gas fees, more demand. It's just they're running the playbook here. So, anyways, I'm excited to see. I think there's a whole. This is the start of a new playbook for seed coins.
People, it's coming, baby. We've been seeing this coming for a while. Been working diligently behind the scenes. It's been awesome to see Syndicate sort of build a lot of the tools that are going to enable this sort of stuff. More to come here.
Super cool.
This is my favorite. This is my favorite news. This was on the Daily. This is on the New York Times, one of the top podcast apps out there, talking about the just baffling trend of Truth Social.
Get into it, Jess. Get into it.
So I guess 2 days ago, Truth Social, which is probably best known as like the free speech platform, but more so known as the Donald Trump's alternative to Twitter. I'll use Twitter as well here. I find myself using X more than I would have thought, though. But
really?
Twitter. Yeah, it's concerning to me.
It's never come out of my mouth yet.
Well, I admire you. But so basically the stock has pumped like multi-billion-dollar valuation. I don't know if you want to maybe bring
it's at a $6 billion, $8 billion valuation.
Yeah. And so this is a company that made, it made $3 million in revenue, has 10 million users. Like the fundamentals make zero sense here. But what this has captured is basically the sort of the MAGA or the believers in Trump, the believers in free speech. There's sort of this like, it is a meme coin that is trading on the stock market. So a meme stock is the appropriate way to sort of frame this. It came public through a SPAC, which is, a shell company that kind of has acquired stuff. So, it's like, and it's just been fascinating for me to listen to the commentary around it, because it's both like something that can't be ignored, right? Because price is going up. And also something that completely defies the realities of the markets in many ways, or at least that's what people say. But I think we are seeing many more stocks being priced as memes. I think Tesla was clearly a meme. The whole pandemic era had a lot of memetic type of attributes to the growth of these stocks. It was not fundamental based. And so I'm seeing people sort of start to struggle with this idea that maybe fundamental analysis isn't the discounted cash flows isn't the only way to measure these things. And also I think they're going to have to just, grapple with like the difference that in the way that these stocks trade, right? Like this is probably going to trade much more aligned with Donald Trump's popularity and success in the elections than it is going to trade against, their ability to go build a big business, which means there's probably going to be a lot more volatility. There's maybe a lot more long-term uncertainty, but this is clearly a stock that captures this idea of build something people want to be a part of. There is a rabid fan base for Donald Trump out there, whether you like it or not. It is true. And, my thinking here, I think we've seen the mega crypto token, Solana token, actually dump as this has pumped, and so there's sort of like,
really,
yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's dumped. It's definitely down from where I didn't buy it, but I think there's sort of like both this. To me, it's like, oh, what happens when it's so $6.5 billion versus what is this at $165 million, right? Like that's almost like the delta between broad adoption of crypto and the stock market has, it's far more accessible, but it is limited in geography in many ways. Crypto is still much more nascent. It's global. So I don't know. To me, it's just another one of those data points that says that there's so much value in the social layers that are emerging around these financial assets, and is like so bullish for crypto in my mind, and that's struggling with what is actually happening at like the New York Times level, I think is just wonderful to see.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I was looking through all the like analyst commentary too, and it's so funny. I think one that I pulled out was what I guess one analyst is trying to paint a bearish outlook on the stock, obviously, comparing it to the business opportunity of the social platform. And he said the maximum addressable market for True Social is only about 75 million people who like Trump. And I was like, 75 million people who really fucking love Trump and are already onboarded on the stock market, like that. That makes our little meme coin seem like absolutely nothing. Like this thing's going to go insane.
Yeah, I think the takeaway from the financial analyst on the daily was, I think this is probably going to keep going up until the election at the very least. And I was like, that's probably the only commentary I would agree with there. It's going to be a measure of attention, and it's already broken into the broader consciousness. So I had a scale.
They use it. He uses initials as the ticker too. This is the meme coin.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
I'm like, oh man, it's so hard for me to onboard into, I don't know, Quest Trade to actually go buy this sort of thing. I'm just going to let it run. But do we have volume numbers here? Like how much is actually trading here? 17.5 million. So it's still actually fairly small volume relative to, I think that's probably around the same volume that Degen was trading at yesterday. So interesting, very interesting.
Is that true? That's awesome.
I think so.
24 hours.
$32 million in volume. So it's a tiny fraction of the volume that's come through crypto. Not a tiny fraction, a fraction of it. Cool. No, well, let's talk about Sofamon, because this was just so smart.
Yeah,
I think it's so good.
I can't believe Degen has twice the volume as the Trump stock though. That's like
global permissionless market. Like it should, there's 300 million people in the United States, and some additional people can get it through other sort of pathways, but it's definitely not a global market in the way that Degen is, or that crypto is.
Right.
That's why I think like we are having it's very hard for us to grok the scale that these things can kind of get to. That's why I'm just 100%. So bullish on everything. We're still so early. Yes, we're still early. And the scale here potential is massive. And, Truth Social is actually a good example of like, what happens when you have, I don't know how many people own that stock, but it's definitely not 75 million people yet. And that's a massive audience to tap into.
Just wait till he starts talking about it and all his rallies. And
not financial advice.
No. Hate the man, but interesting. I love how you're just flexing that Degen buy right now. Look at that.
Yeah, it feels so good. It wasn't for a ton of money, but we did it on the stream, so it feels great just to see buys on the stream and charts like this.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah.
Our quant wallet's in a good spot.
It's in a good spot. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, let's talk about Sofamon. So Sofamon came through SC06, and it's been just sick watching their evolution. So when they applied to SC06, and until about actually halfway through SC06, they were building this browser companion. So same character, but it would live in like the bottom corner of your screen. and would just make it more enjoyable to interact on chain. Like you could see prices through it. You could, I think if you did a transaction, it would react. But I think what, got that into some beta users' hands, what they really saw is that what people actually wanted to do with it was kind of socialize through it and express emotion through it more than they wanted it to be like a portal to the on-chain world. So they quickly kind of took that learning. I think also saw, all the activity that was happening on Friendtech at the time, and kind of like reformulated their vision around, using this character that clearly had emotional resonance, and, creating this tradable sticker world. So they're, big fans of streetwear, have been deep in kind of Chinese sticker culture, and, obviously deep crypto guys, and kind of package that all up into this really wild tradable Telegram sticker product where, they're doing drops, the items that you can actually dress your character up are on a bonding curve. Anytime you buy something and dress your character up, you can sync it with the Telegram sticker pack. So actually, flex and socialize and do stuff around them in Telegram in this social context that, crypto largely already exists in. So they've launched 2 collections to date, both, I think, back-to-back days this week, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, and both have gone pretty crazy since launch. So it's just such a nice product. So impressed by the way they brought it into market, and really how they've kind of taken this vision that we talked about, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago and delivered on it.
Yeah. And again, for builders out there looking at some of the product decisions they made around the bonding curve, around like when you dress your character, you can see how much your character is worth, which is, the numbers are insane right now. I think like my character has like a 4.5 ETH value on it from just the gear that it's wearing, which is like what, and sort of like the importance of that experience in getting, a lot of people excited, a lot of people telling their friends, a lot of people joining. They've sort of made it very easy for you to bring that character into Telegram. If you think about the idea of in an ideal world, you sort of have tokens that are owned by a few, but can be experienced by billions, ideally. And so the stickers are actually a social context that really enables that. And yeah, Jackie and team are being very strategic and tactical about how they're rolling this out in a way, which we saw throughout the cohort, but in a way that I think actually blew my mind, frankly, on the launch. And so I'm excited about what they have a big roadmap planned. They're hitting it. They're a hustling team. So watching closely and participating.
Yeah. They play with the product. I think they've been looking for great artists who want to create wearables to work with. So if you're one of those, hit that team up there. I don't know what their collection plan is coming up, but I'm sure it's going to be interesting. It'll be a good product to have your stuff on. Okay, cool. Got time for maybe one lightning round piece. Can you go to the ball? Ball is fun. What is it? This one. Just do you know what this is? So this is a drop by Senspace, who is another SC06 project building kind of this Japanese character world. They're based in Tokyo, kind of deep in the street scene over there. And they dropped this, which I actually don't know a ton about, but it's cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Senspace is really, over the last couple of months, they have sort of this very small, deeply connected community of makers, creators, brand builders in Tokyo. There's this scene there that they've been very diligently and very, frankly, slowly building. And I think they sort of reached a scale right now where they're really tapping into that network and now coming up with a lot more drops that are, I think, geared to reach more people. So they've been really active on Farcaster for the last little while. I'm trying to remember what the name of this type of machine is called, and I should know. It's called Gachapon. Machines, yeah, which we've seen a couple of projects kind of play around it.
Cool.
So it's a pretty simple thing. I think you go mint these tokens. The value of the mints gets put into a prize pool, and you get these collectibles with a chance to sort of get access to the prize pool. But I think it's just one part of a series of drops they'll be coming out with over the next little while as they sort of build momentum around. Tapping into this vibrant scene that they have and are part of in Tokyo, which, this has been a phenomenal project for us to work with, because the cultural divide between Western crypto culture and Japanese crypto culture is massive. The difference between startup culture between the sort of two sides of the world is also massive. And so their sort of ability to navigate those two worlds by building for very much a Japanese audience here. I think they've seen a ton of pickup from sort of the Japanese community, and then also bridge that out and do that in a way that is just like, I mean, to me, it feels like the opportunity here is like what Japanese denim had. Like there's a sense of cool and of thoughtfulness and of collaboration that really just makes what's happening in Tokyo really fascinating to, I think, many of us. And being able to bridge that through crypto products, I think, is an interesting opportunity that they're running at. So you can mint some of those tokens, but I think just kind of getting your finger on the pulse of what they're doing is probably the smartest move here.
Oh my God, I'm so jealous of all these people. This person got baller chicken. They got freaking tuna mayo ball.
What? I got the same. I got the same thing you got. The
cocoa shrooms. Now I have to go roll again.
Let's do it. Come on. Do it for the stream. Let's go.
Let's get the buttered chicken or cocoa shrooms. Okay, that's okay. Common roll day. I'll be back another day. We got 6 more days.
Sure, I love it. Awesome. All right. Well, I hope for many of you it's a long weekend. So I hope you're putting it to good use and minting some tokens. Episode 22, Internet Explorers. Lovely to see you all joining us here on a good Friday. We'll be back again next week on Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time. We're kicking off SC07 next week. So we're going to do our best to bring people into that world as we're building. There's so many products that are about to launch or that are out in the world that you can actually use and click around on right now. I think we had Bracket the Game on last week, it's going to be a big weekend for them. So go check that out if you haven't already. Bracket.game.
They got a nice Degen grant, so the prize pool is juicy.
Yeah, 10 million Degen grant, I think, that's getting added into the prize pool. I don't know if it's public. I think that's public. Are we leaking alpha? No, I think that's
alpha.
Okay, maybe it's alpha. I don't know.
Bracket.game. Go play.
Josh, there's going to be a world here where we're not going to have enough space on that left sidebar just purely because of all the cool things. Yeah,
I already had I had way more. And right before this, I was like, oh shit, this is not going to work.
Also, like, you put a paragraph at the end of that intro post around SC07 announcement. SC06 teams, we talked about Sofamon, but they are killing it right now. They're killing it.
Pull it up for a sec, please. The bottom of our post. We still have people hanging out. Yeah, the bottom of our announcement post.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly, when I was writing that, I was like, oh shit, like they're. Yeah, so interface just keeps getting better, and the more on-chain activity there is, just the sicker that product gets.
It is the only thing that I've given notifications to on my phone is interface.
100%. It's a required use product during this bull market. Finny released this really cute messaging product that we actually covered with Sam this week, and they have big plans for it. Basically, like you and whoever you're talking to kind of co-raise this little Finny character through your conversation and answering questions that they prompt you with, and very fun. I was looking at the Pods Dune chart, which I linked to there. They just keep bringing podcasts on chain. Lots of very financially sustainable podcasts using their mints. MintStars has just seen explosive growth from their advocacy efforts, and OnlyFans doing stupid shit, and creators just realizing that MintStars is genuinely in their corner and building the product for them. Piece, what else do we have on there? Yeah, Sofamon. Yeah, Slow Rodeo actually just released their new site and announced their first kind of flagship venture this week, which is a racket club and apparel brand that's going to be dope. Just insane brand builders and clothing builders. So and then I think go back because we continue to work with. Well, you talked about Senspace. Revel is man, those guys are just such deep product builders, and I'm excited to see sort of the evolution of that. The world's largest is the one that I think is. When Patrick goes into quiet mode, it starts building. You're like, what's going on? I don't know. And then I think Steph shared a great update on a lovely teaser update on Twitter recently. Just obviously it was way ahead of the curve around sort of this on-chain media explosion that's happening. And so super excited to see what she's working on as well. So the crew keeps building. And of course, we're not even talking about the SC05. I mean, there's just everybody's still out there. The energy's back. People are getting a ton of traction on stuff. And so crypto's consumer moment. It's here. Let's go.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Stoked to see you again next week, and have fun on the internet until then.
Ciao.